For the very first time in Pokemon Go, you are going to be able to get shiny Solgaleo from Legendary Raids. Solgaleo is going to be returning to raid battles during this week, and alongside it, we are going to be seeing the shiny debut for this Pokemon. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about how you could take down Solgaleo in raids and pick up this brand new shiny. Hey, how's it going everyone? Jinsula here with a brand new Pokemon Go video. I hope your week is going really well, and let's get right into it. So Solgaleo, this is a legendary Pokemon from Pokemon Sun and Moon, and it is going to be returning to legendary raids during this week. And the big thing here is that you are going to be able to get the shiny version of this legendary Pokemon for the very first time, and I think it's actually going to be quite popular. A lot of people actually want this Pokemon for a variety of different reasons, but now that you're able to get the shiny version of this Pokemon, that is actually quite exciting. So yeah, let's go over how you could take down Solgaleo in raids. It's pretty straightforward. You will just need a few Pokemon that I think a lot of players already have powered up, and then yeah, afterwards let me talk about why this is incredibly exciting. The counters for Solgaleo are pretty straightforward in that you could think of Solgaleo as kind of like a beefed up version of Metagross. Whatever Pokemon you would bring up against Metagross are the Pokemon you will want to bring up against Solgaleo. Solgaleo is a duo Psychic and Steel type Pokemon, very similar to Metagross, and you're going to want to bring Pokemon with Dark, Fire, Ghost, or Ground type attacks. And considering its typing, that means it's going to have a plethora of different resistances. These include Psychic and Poison, of which they're going to have a double resistance, and then it's also going to be resistant against Dragon, Fairy, Flying Grass, Normal, Rock, Steel, and Ice type attacks. So obviously avoid bringing any Pokemon with those typings. And if you're looking for a perfect IV of Solgaleo, you're going to want to look for one that is 2310, and if it's weather boosted, which is going to be weather boosted by windy weather and snowy weather, it's going to be 2887. That is the magic number for the hundo, so be on the lookout for those. And if you want to secure the win against Solgaleo, you don't need too many trainers in your raid group. You could go with 5 trainers, or if you want to secure the win, you could just go with 5 trainers, and this is a potentially doable raid boss as long as you bring the absolute best counters in your arsenal. And speaking of which, let's go over the best counters right now. They include Mega Charizard Y, which is a very powerful fire type, and you could also go with Mega Blaziken. But just keep in mind that Mega Blaziken is a glass cannon, and there is a potential for Solgaleo to use Psychic type attacks, which would hard counter Mega Blaziken. In my opinion, probably Mega Charizard Y is going to be the safer option, but you really can't go wrong with either of these Mega Evolutions. And Blacephalon is currently one of the hardest hitting Pokemon in the game, and it just so happens to have the fire typing. It's going to be one of the best Pokemon up against Solgaleo, so make sure you're bringing those if you want the absolute highest amount of damage per second. And also considered a very strong counter up against Solgaleo is going to be one of the fusion forms of Necrozma, and it is of course Dawnwings. Dawnwings is probably one of the strongest ghost types in the game, and you will definitely want to bring that up against this raid boss. And another Pokemon that is kind of tailor-made against Solgaleo is going to be Shadow Chandelure. Regardless if you go with fire type or ghost type attacks, both are going to be super effective up against this one particular raid boss. Now of course, if you do not have Mega Evolutions, Legendaries, or Shadow Pokemon in your collection, you could just go with regular Chandelure as well as Excadrill with ground type attacks. Both of those are going to be pretty good up against this raid boss, and I do recommend using them if you do not have a high enough collection. Alright, so the real exciting thing here is, of course, finally being able to get shiny Solgaleo. I think a lot of players are going to be excited about that, but I think in general, this Pokemon is basically just a collector's item at this point. In terms of overall gameplay relevance, Solgaleo is not necessarily one of the best Pokemon out there. You're never going to see it as a top counter for any raid boss. You're not going to see it in the top 10 list for any PvP league. It just kind of exists. It is one of those Pokemon where, unfortunately, it gets overshadowed by just a lot of Pokemon out there that share the same typing. For example, Metagross. Metagross is kind of like the better version of Solgaleo, and of course, Solgaleo doesn't have a Mega Evolution like Metagross, and I think a lot of players would opt to use Metagross over Solgaleo when it comes to raids and PvP, but I still think this Pokemon can be good. If you're lacking in a lot of different Pokemon in your collection and you need just something that will hold you over until you do get some meta Pokemon, then yeah, I think Solgaleo will be pretty good. It may not necessarily be worth the Stardust and the candies in order to max it out. That Stardust is probably better spent on other Pokemon, but hey, Solgaleo could still do its job, and I think it's definitely worth it if you're a newer player. Now, the one important thing regarding Solgaleo that a lot of players will rate it for is, of course, the fact that it is a component to a very powerful fusion. Necrozma can fuse with Solgaleo in order to turn into Duskmane Necrozma. As of right now, it is one of the best steel types in the game by far. Fusion forms are incredibly powerful Pokemon within Pokemon Go, and in some cases, you might want to use Duskmane Necrozma compared to other steel types. And I think that is one of the reasons why players will actually raid for Solgaleo, because on top of you needing it for the fusion forms for Necrozma, you will have the opportunity to get to shiny. So it's kind of like a nice consolation prize. So yeah, I think Solgaleo is pretty cool, and I'm really excited that it's back in raid battles and that we're finally able to get the shiny form. I think that's all just really good stuff regarding this Pokemon. Now, in terms of how many people you need and how difficult this raid boss is, I mean, yeah, it's a very straightforward raid boss. It's not going to be overly tanky. It's not going to deal a whole bunch of damage. It's kind of like a mid-level raid boss. It's not going to be super difficult. If you go with a bunch of trainers and you're all just looking to get the shiny, you're probably going to be okay. You might see quite a lot of trainers during raid hour this week because I'm sure a lot of people would like to get the shiny version of this, considering it is a shiny debut, but I could definitely see the value of this raid boss diminishing over time. I don't think a year from now people will necessarily care about Solgaleo unless it gets some sort of crazy new move that's going to make it really good for PvP. But outside of that, yeah, this is just one of those where I really think you should rate it while you have the chance, because probably sometime in the future, people will just not care about this Pokemon and you'll have a hard time finding a group. Between the two legendary Pokemon, Solgaleo and Lunala, unfortunately, Solgaleo does kind of fall by the wayside. It's not necessarily as of a high priority, which is interesting because in most other games where Solgaleo is featured, it typically is a very powerful Pokemon, but within Pokemon Go itself, it just doesn't seem like it is as strong as it could be. But that is basically because of its move pool and just the current status of Pokemon Go. There's just so much power creep in this game. Like, there are certain Pokemon that are just crazy strong compared to some of the typical legendaries, and of course Mega Evolutions. That kind of just changes the game altogether. So yeah, it is unfortunate if you're a big fan of this Pokemon. It's just not that good compared to most others, but again, if you're newer to Pokemon Go and you just need some powerful Pokemon to hold you over, Solgaleo might be pretty good. But yeah, that's pretty much it. These are just all my thoughts regarding Solgaleo. I think the big highlight with it returning to raid battles this time around is just simply that you could get the shiny form for the very first time, and in some cases, yeah, like I said, it could be good. It may not be the best, but it's still good. Like, that is something to consider. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, nothing else really to talk about. So let me know your thoughts regarding Solgaleo down below. Are you going to be raiding for this Pokemon? Are you excited at the idea of getting the shiny version of this Pokemon? Definitely share those thoughts in the comments down below, and yeah, let's have a great discussion. Oh, and before I leave, I do have to mention this, but shiny Solgaleo is not going to make your fusions with Necrozma shiny. So if you fuse it with a non-shiny Necrozma, that's not going to give you a shiny Duskmane Necrozma. I do have to throw that out there because I think some players might get the wrong idea that they're going to be going for shiny Duskmane, or what is it, shiny Solgaleo in order to get a shiny Duskmane Necrozma. It doesn't actually work that way, and the same applies with IVs. It's actually the IVs and the shiny status of the Necrozma that you're fusing with it that's actually going to determine the IVs and the shiny status of the fusion form. So yeah, do keep that in mind. Don't make the mistake of raiding a whole bunch of these thinking you're going to get a really cool fusion. Yeah, that's just something I have to throw out there. But yeah, let me know your thoughts regarding this Pokemon. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, found it to be informative and helpful, make sure you hit that like button. That would support my channel quite a bit. And if you haven't done so already, make sure you subscribe to my channel and turn on that notification bell so you know exactly when I upload videos. And if you're watching this on mobile, make sure you hype up this video as well. And also consider checking out the links in the description below. If you want to join my Patreon, you're very welcome to do so. If you do, you're going to get a spot on my Pokemon Go friends list. So if you want to play Pokemon Go with me, yeah, go and check out my Patreon. And that's going to be it for this video. I'm Count Jinsula. Be safe, have fun, love yourself today, and I'll catch you in the next video.
진솔아와 함께해